Hello, my name is Carl and this is the Uwin Molus G60, which is most likely the smallest bicolor video light on the market. Just look at the difference between this and what I think might be the most popular 60-watt video light, the Godox SL60W, which weighs about 5.4 times more than the G60. There's only one tiny flaw that keeps this from being perfect, at least in my opinion, which I will be talking about later. And we're also going to be taking a look at the 100-watt sibling, the Molus X100. With that said, let's get straight into the specifications. The G60 weighs about 300 grams and is slightly larger than a Rubik's Cube. The modifier mount is Uwin's proprietary ZY mount, but with the adapter you can actually use your regular Bowen mount modifiers on this thing, which is pretty awesome. You can either power this with the included power brick cable or through the USB-C port on the side. This can't be any old power bank though. Depending on the output, the light will be limiting the power, so make sure your power bank has an output of at least 60 watt if you want to run the G60 on full speed, or 100 watt for the X100. The Molus X100 can be bought with the battery grip, which locks into the side of the unit. On the back of the G60 we find two control knobs. The round one adjusts the power and the cross-shaped adjusts the color temperature. I think it's really smart that they made the knobs in different shapes so you can tell which one you are messing with without having to look. But for some reason Uwin didn't do that on the X100. A thing both of these lights share though is that the knobs are clickable, cycling between 0, 50 and 100% power, and the temperature cycles between 2700K, 5500K and 6500K. All in all, I think it's really impressive what Uwin have accomplished here with these tiny lights. It just baffles me how they managed to make these lights so small without overheating. Apparently that is thanks to their new Dynawart cooling technology. You'd think that the secret sauce would be that the fans spin like crazy, but it's actually more quiet than my Godox. I know that the Godox SL60W isn't really known for being the gold standard when it comes to being a quiet light, but considering that it has a much larger heatsink and fan, I think that these do a really great job. One of the pros of lights being this small is that you're able to use them in scenarios where a more typical light would be too big and clunky. Let's say for streamers or people who want good lighting during video calls. It's super easy to rig this up on the extendable pole accessory and throw on the foldable softbox, and in no time you got way better lighting. Another perk of being this light is it's easier to rig this up for top-down lighting, but here's also where that flaw I mentioned earlier becomes apparent. So that tiny flaw I've been talking about is the power button. I know I'm nitpicking now and it's somewhat of a preference, but for some people I think this might be important to know about, and for some of you it's not important at all. You see, both of these lights uses a power button to turn on and off, while other lights uses a power switch. Why does this even matter, maybe you're asking now? I can give two examples on why this might be an issue for some people. Example 1. Here in my home studio, I like to connect all of my lights to a wall brick and turn everything on and off by the switch on the brick. This is also useful in the same way if you're using one of those remote controlled plugs for different lights. And for the other example, if the light is placed in a hard to reach place, like I mentioned earlier with the top-down lighting. When trying these lights out, this happened to me because I was doing top-down lighting for a product shot and I had to move the power cable, so after plugging it in again, I had to climb up on a stool and start the light again manually, which was kind of an inconvenience. Maybe you have a studio with lights placed in the ceiling, then it wouldn't really be ideal to having to climb up and turning them on every time you want to use them. Speaking of flaws, both of these lights can be controlled over Bluetooth from your phone, which in theory is great, but as in the case with many of these apps, the connectivity didn't really work great when I was trying it out. Also, I don't know if this is a bug or if it was my cable or wall adapter, but when limited to 10 watts, going below the color temperature of 3200K would cause the G60 to turn off. Maybe it's because those LEDs draw more power, or I have no idea, just something I wanted to mention for the record. All in all, I really like these lights, and it's always fun to see fresh innovations that bring new things to the table. I think this could be really useful for people who want small and portable lights that can run without needing to be connected to a wall socket. And to be honest, for everything you're getting here, bi-colored light starting at $200 for the G60 and $250 for the X100. I think these are just great value. I think that pretty much sums it up on these two lights. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask down in the comments. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Peace out!